Guys, it's Jordan here with JDog Obedience again, and I just wanted to welcome you back to lesson 8 of our online puppy class. Hopefully you guys had some success with your heeling, and so now we're going to move into leave-its. Now leave-its can be very helpful in a variety of situations, whether you're in the house and you accidentally drop something that you don't want your dog to get, or they have one of your kids' toys in their mouth, or you're out on a walk and there's just something on the sidewalk that you would prefer your dog to not be putting in their mouth. So there's lots of different applications, and it's a very important thing. So the very first rule of teaching our leave it is that you never want to give the dog the item that you're asking them to leave. This is a common mistake that I see as a trainer, is they'll have the food or whatever it is that they're trying to get the dog to leave alone, the dog will leave it, and then they'll reward them with that same thing. At this point, all you've taught that dog is that just because they can't have it right now, they can have it later, which is not what we want to teach them. With a leave it, we want them to know that they are not allowed to have it at all, period, don't touch it. So what we're going to do to get around this is we're going to offer them one treat, and we're always going to reward them with another treat from our opposite hand. That way there's no confusion, and they know that the only way that they're going to get rewarded is if they leave this object completely alone. So what we're going to do to start working the leave it is we're going to hide a treat into our hand. And you want to show the dog that you have the treat in there, but you don't want them to be able to get it. I would highly recommend using high value treats for this. So whatever you have in your hand, you want it to be stinky enough that the dog wants it, and then whatever you're rewarding them with, you want it to be even more high reward than this, so that they want to leave this alone to get that, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to put that treat in our hand, and we're going to let the dog know that it's in there. Depending on how motivated your dog is or how driven they are to get that food, they might start clawing at your hand, biting at your hand, licking, sniffing, who knows. All dogs respond differently, but inevitably they're going to give up at some point because they're going to realize, man, mom has this under lock and fist, you know? So they're going to give up on it eventually, right? And the very second that they do, whether they just pick their head up briefly, if they look at something, no matter what it is, that's when you're going to mark that behavior. You're either going to click or use your marker word, and then you're going to reward them for it. So what we've now taught the dog is that when they choose to leave that item alone that's in our hand, it's going to be rewarding for them. Often dogs pick this up very, very quickly, right? They'll sniff it, they'll sniff, 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 stop, get rewarded, and they're like, oh wait. And so it tends to happen very quick. Usually you can get through the first phase of this within a couple reps. So once you can offer your dog that treat while it's in your hand, and they maybe sniff it and leave it alone immediately, we're going to move on to the next step, which is presenting the treat to your dog in an open hand. So once you can open your hand and the dog will look at it and choose to leave it alone, you can close your hand back up if you need to. If you open the hand and the dog goes to go for it, close it so they can't get it, okay? And the goal is to be able to leave the treat open like this, and for the dog to look at it and choose to disengage, at which point you're gonna mark and reward. So once you get to the point where your hand is open and the dog is seeing it, but they're not trying to get it, that's when we're going to put our cue on there, right? So what we want to do is present it, leave it, and then when they leave it, mark it and reward it with the other hand. So once we get to the point where our cue has been tied into that leave it, we're going to move our treat to the floor. Very rarely are you going to be telling your dog to leave something that's already in your hand. It's usually going to be something that's on the floor. So we want to build the association with the floor and that cue as well. So what you're going to do is set the treat down on the floor and just cover it with your hand like this. Let them see it, give them that leave it, but keep your hand close just in case you have to cover it. We do not want our dogs being able to get those treats, remember. So, do it in a way that you can do it pretty quick. So, same way as we progressed it before, once you can leave it on the floor, tell your dog, leave it, and they actually leave it. That's how you know that you have a pretty good proof to leave it. So obviously I'll show you all the steps how to progress through that, but let's go ahead and start working on our leave its.
Yes! 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 Bruce. boy. Okay, leave it. Yes. Leave it. Yes. Bruce, leave it. Yes, good boy. Leave it. Yes, good boy. Leave it. Yes, good boy. Down. Leave it. Leave it. Yes, come here. Good boy. Good boy.
Okay guys, so that wraps up our lesson for today. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them below, shoot me a DM, or email me at jdogobedience@gmail.com, and I will do anything and everything I can to help you. Otherwise, I hope you guys learned something new today, and I wish you all the best in your training, and I'll talk to you next time.